Hey everyone. All right. We already got 40 some people in here. Fantastic. I'm excited to see you all. Love that you guys are putting that stuff in the chat. If you're just joining us, please put what part of the country you're from. You can put your market or the state, up to you, name of your company, and then the industry or the trade or trades if you have multiple that you serve. That way, typically when I do this, I try to tailor the content as much as possible from what I see in the chat. Sometimes it's not always possible, but I'm definitely going to try. Looks like we got anywhere from Florida to Texas to California, all the way up to British Columbia. Welcome, Brandon. Super excited. I'm glad. It's nice to see that the reach we have with these, because it's cool to see. It's also great for networking for you guys. You guys see someone's idea that you like during this session, or some comments, or someone that you want to connect with that's maybe a little bit bigger than you, or maybe they've been where you want to go. It's a great opportunity for you to find that person and connect with them in the chat. So we're going to get about another minute, so we get a couple more people jumping on here. We had about 120 register. Typically for these, we get about 50% or so that show up. And we are going to talk all about how we can keep our schedules full when demand is not there, which I know several of you are probably very excited for. Some of you guys that are clients, we've already been doing some of this stuff for you guys. I'm going to share examples today. You guys are going to get a ton of resources. I actually got that resource list over here because I don't have a slide for it. So I'm going to let you know what you're going to walk away with if you stay to the end. And then we'll make sure that our team gets these resources out to you by no later than tomorrow, so you have time over the weekend and during the Thanksgiving shorter week to look at this and start really building some awesome campaigns. So at the end of this webinar, you're going to be getting a recording of this webinar, and we're going to have a lot of different things in here. We're going to be using ChatGPT. We're going to be doing all sorts of things that you guys are going to be able to take away, including prompts and things like that. The campaign templates that I'm going to share with you guys, a custom text messaging GPT, or a custom GPT that's set up to put together text message campaigns that don't suck, a brand voice custom GPT. Actually, my team created this to help you with your brand voice. So that way this can help with anything you do, social media, email, video. We're going to be able to prompt you with questions. You're going to be able to put your information in and then use that for any sort of marketing that you have. And these are all going to be emailed to you out tomorrow. So super excited. Let's go ahead and jump in. If for some reason the show comments on stage bothers anyone, let me know. If it covers up anything, let me know. It's something new I'm trying. The tool we're using has got a lot of new features. So let me get set up here. So I can move this over. And then Nadine, just as usual, I'm not going to be really looking at the chat a whole lot. I'm going to be looking at my slides here over on my main screen. So before we jump into it, if you don't know who I am and you've never joined one of these webinars before, I've been in the HVAC industry almost 13 years now. I've worked at 3 different HVAC companies, doing everything from parts runner to install grunt to CSR, dispatcher, operations manager, branch manager. I've had a lot of titles, done a lot of things in the trades. I've also been on territory sales management side for a little bit, so I know what that side looks like. And since 2020, been running Relentless Digital. We've done some really cool things. If you guys love listening to podcasts, make sure you check out Service Business Mastery. I co-host that podcast. I've been on that with Tersh Blissett for about 4.5 years now. We've done some really cool things. We got a lot of content surrounding AI and automation, and which most of you guys, some of you guys are actually in some of our Trade Automation Pros school community, which teaches you how to build AI and automations. And some of you guys also came to our Tap into the Future event. So we have a lot of content for you, a lot of good things, just depending on where you are in your journey. So make sure you guys check that stuff out. All right. So we all know that this year has probably not been the most ideal year. If any of you guys have been around since the COVID days or pre-COVID days, you remember what it was like before? You know what it was like during COVID. We didn't have to do any of this marketing stuff. People just literally threw money at us, and it was super easy. So what I'm going to share throughout this webinar, this is the first time we've ever done this type of content. So this is a brand new webinar. nobody that we've is in our ecosystem has ever seen this one before. And we're going to share with you exact things that have generated over $300,000 per campaign for some of our clients. And it was literally just one campaign before the season even started for them. And the offer was simple. And the thing that most people miss is we think the service fee, and I'm not going to get into a big discussion on this, but the service fee or the dispatch fee or the tune-up fee, we have to make a profit on those. And the problem with that thinking is homeowners don't care if you make a profit on that service fee. And if we don't get in the home to do a tune-up, an inspection, a water heater flush, electrical safety system inspection, we can't sell anything to anyone. And our team sits at home and we still have to pay for that overhead. So we have to think how our homeowners, what our homeowners are thinking. That's really the key here. And what we're going to be talking about throughout the duration of this next hour is what are our homeowners thinking and how can we craft campaigns that hit them at the right time so we have a lot of success and we fill our board. Now, before we get into this, I'm going to have a couple poll questions. I'm going to ask you guys to put some stuff in the chat. So please do the best to, whether you're on your mobile device, a tablet, or wherever you're watching this, to comment in the chat because it's always great to see what everyone says. But put a 1 in the chat if you have tried email or text messaging marketing and you pretty much said it just didn't work for me. If it works really well for you already, put a 2 in the chat. Brandon, our British Columbia native, said 1. Okay, we got a lot of 1s. So a lot of people don't think it works. We got a couple that says it works or it's worked for them, which is great. Awesome. A lot of 1s. Okay. Billy, 1.5. That was not an option, Billy. Part of this is you have to listen to instructions. And 1.5 was not. Oh, we got Travis jumping on the bandwagon with 1.5 as well. Awesome. Okay. So now I got one more poll question for you. So put a 1 in the chat if you've ever thought that your customers don't want to hear from you or you feel like you're bugging them by sending them an email or a text message. Put a 2 if you don't care. And I'll wait for a couple of replies to come in. And the reason I asked this question is we have some current clients or past clients that I've had these conversations with, and it kind of boggles my mind as someone who was in the trades and did a lot of email and text message marketing before text message marketing was even a real popular thing and platforms like Chirp and Hatch were out there. I had no problem reaching out to existing customers, but a lot of people will tell me, I don't want to bug my customers. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to get an unsubscribe. And the mentality is what we're going to be focused on today and shifting that mentality. And I'm going to explain why it's so important and why your customers actually want to hear from you. So we got some 2s. So some people don't care. We've got a lot of 1s. So thank you guys for participating in that. So here's the truth about the home services industry. None of this should come as a surprise to you. Now, some markets, like if you're in the Phoenix area, you probably wouldn't know that other areas of the country are slow just because Phoenix is boom town. There is new construction everywhere. And there's other markets in Texas and some areas that are the same. But lead costs are up this year. There are more people searching for DIY services. And the reason for that is if you guys go to Google Trends and you search like credit card debt repair or debt consolidation or anything, even like housing prices and anything related to the housing market, you guys know the housing market has been stagnant most of the year. During COVID and right after COVID, like the housing market was crazy. People literally, you wouldn't even put a listing up and you would have an offer accepted before that even went live on the MLS listings. That is no longer the case. And what's great for us when the housing market is great, I mean, great for the trades industry, the home service industry, is when people are moving, that's when they decide to do big projects. They do landscaping, they upgrade their HVAC system, they get a new water filtration system in their house like we did when we moved into this house. And with that, and the fact that the credit card debt is high and people just don't have the money to spend, is installs are down. Those big ticket items are down. Most of you guys have felt that. If any of you guys follow data from like AHRI, with shipment data, you know that most manufacturers are down, and this, I'm speaking HVAC industry, but this really goes to most industries. They're down 25 to 30% in boxes sold this year. If they're down, that means that trickle down effect comes down to you. And so finding new customers is harder, especially if there's no movement, because if no new people are moving into your market or moving out, there's not quite a chance to get customer acquisition unless your competitors are really bad at keeping up with and getting back into homes that they've already serviced. So I'd love for you guys, and I don't know how many of you guys are going to know this off the top of your head, but put this in the chat if you do. How many customers are in your database? I would love to see the number here, because then I can actually give you some math on what a normal campaign runs for us as far as conversion rate. So you guys can actually understand one of these campaigns done well, what that might look like as far as booking tune-ups, inspections, or anything like that. Okay, so we got all over the board here. We got anywhere from 35,000 down to 64,000 by Ray, down to 350 by Ivan. And we got a whole mix. Okay, awesome. So the general rule of thumb with the customer database, and first of all, it's great that you guys know these numbers are off the top of your head. My homework for you, if you didn't know, is to go into your field service management software and go grab this number. Typically a good, well-structured campaign, and I'm talking text messaging right now because I know those numbers a little bit better. You can book anywhere from 3 to 5% of the people on your list. Now, not everyone, let's say your list is 10,000. Not everyone in that 10,000 is probably going to be the one you want to send a message to, because you may have just serviced them. Maybe you just did a tune-up. Maybe you just installed their system. So you're not going to want to go back out for a tune-up. So typically the full list you have isn't quite the list you're going to send to. But what you are going to do is you typically will get a 3 to 5% rate of conversion. People saying yes, people putting their hand out. For instance, we just did, it was actually an end of season tune-up for an HVAC company in Florida. And if you think about it, it really wasn't the best time for us to do that, but they were hurting for work. And so what we did is we pulled a list of all customers that they have not seen this year. It was about 2,500 customers. We ran a tune-up inspection offer, and I'll show you guys what that offer looks like, exact verbiage and everything. And we booked 83 tune-ups at the end of the season. And it was literally a simple offer with a couple follow-up messages in a customer list they had not seen. And we're going to talk about that campaign type here in just a moment. So we've already discussed new customer acquisition is harder. It's more expensive than ever. You guys put in the chat that most of you guys have at least 1,000 or more customers to reach back out to. You have a gold mine. You're sitting on a gold mine right now. So in order to leverage it properly, we need to make sure that we have certain types of campaigns set up. So that way, and we need to also make sure that we're not sending terrible campaigns to people. I see a lot of terrible campaigns. I'm actually on, I know some people are slow. I've been on some people's list that I'm not even in their market. I do a lot of testing, and I'm probably on a lot of people's lists that aren't even clients, just to see what they're doing and what's working and what's not. And some of the offers and stuff I see are just awful. There's no value in it for the homeowner. We're slow, meaning the person that's sending the text is slow. So they just vomit all over the screen of, hey, buy now, we need work, things like that. I actually saw one person that said something to the effect of, we're slow and have openings right now. Would you like to get a tune-up done? So, and this stuff happens all the time. And it's just because, at a grand high level scale, most people in the trades they don't have a marketing background, and they don't understand marketing message copy and how that relates to homeowners. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So we're going to talk, first of all, about why your email campaigns are failing. So feel free, if you guys ever need to take a screenshot of this, again, the recording will be sent out. These are the deadly sins of email marketing for contractors. And there's 3 main ones that I see. One and done. Now, several of you guys already mentioned that you did a campaign or 2 and you said, hey, it didn't work for me. So that's 1 and done, 2 and done. Essentially, you started it and didn't continue. Promotional puke. Now, I see a lot of these now. I'm not picking on ServiceTitan. Nobody run back to ServiceTitan and tell me I'm picking on them. But in their Marketing Pro, the templated emails they put in there that are like 15% off of all services for Black Friday. those emails are terrible. Don't use those. Those are pretty much in there as a guide for you, but we're going to share some tips so you guys can take what's there and turn it into a really great email to send out. And then wrong message, wrong time, wrong person. We'll talk more about that, about how to segment your customer database. So the one and done thing, typically what happens and what I see is when people are slow, they're desperate. And when they're desperate, they decide no matter what time of year it is, I'm going to send an offer and I'm going to try to get some people booked. So what happens with that is it's almost like going to the gym one time or for a week or even for a month and hoping that you're going to see abs the next day. It's just not going to happen. And then you say fitness or taking care of my health doesn't work and I'm never going to get those abs. Marketing is a system. It's not a one-time event. It really has to be planned and well thought out. Some of you guys are probably familiar with emails just like this. You guys probably are going to be getting a lot of these in your inbox or in your, if you use Gmail, in your promotions folder, because it's Black Friday coming up. I think Amazon's already started their Black Friday thing, which doesn't really make sense to me, but promotional puke, throwing offers. And the worst thing that you can do is send offers like this that are literally, you'd almost be better blindfolding yourself, spinning around several times, taking a dart and trying to hit a bullseye on a dartboard. That's literally what you're trying to do when you just say, hey, $50 off repair, and we're sending this out to everyone, or 20% off all services. It doesn't work because you're literally trying to hit a needle in a haystack. You're hoping someone from your list has a problem and they need you. And instead of hoping, we're going to go try to find opportunities and campaigns and messaging that actually hits what they need when they're thinking about it. And then wrong message, wrong time, wrong person. This also happens a lot. And when we craft these campaigns, let me back up just a little bit. So inside of most contractors' field service management softwares, and I can speak at a high level of this because we have about 150 clients or so, and we help clients with their data in these campaigns all the time. And what happens is when they want to send campaigns, they just give us a list that's like their entire list. But we have people with new systems. We have people you serviced in the last 3 months. And if we put some sort of promotional offer together for those people, what happens is the people that got an install and you're giving a 10% discount on new installs, they're going to ask for that 10% discount because they just got their system installed last week or last month. So we have to segment our database, one, to save you so you're not having to give discounts to people, and two, so you hit the right people at the right time. So we're going to go through some bad examples first before we get into some good examples. And then we're going to go into how to use ChatGPT and AI to craft these for you so you don't have to be, or you don't have to become a world-class copywriter. So I mentioned this a little bit with one of the examples before. Don't send texts like this. Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Do you need any work? Or, hey, our schedule's light, or we need to fill our guys up and we're offering cheap tune-ups because of that. It seems desperate, and you never want to come from a place of desperate. You want to come from a place of, I'm trying to do best in what's right by you, because the homeowner does not care if you're slow. They don't care if your board's empty. They care if you're going to help them. Anytime you write these campaigns, you have to ask yourself, what is in it for the homeowner? Because that is the only thing they care about. That's their main priority. Things like this, where you send robotic type emails that are not personalized. With all of the technology we have today, you can personalize these things. Your field service management software has the technician's name of the last service. It has the last service date. It has the job type. All of these things can get pulled into our messaging to have very personalized messages. So when you send things like, hey, dear valued customer, as a valued customer, we value your comfort, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, or maybe you guys have even read or seen some of these before. This is not personal at all. If I'm looking at this as a homeowner, I'm like, these guys don't even know who I am. So why would I do business with them again? And the tone deaf timing. With seasonality, now a lot of you guys said that you were HVAC. Some of you guys had some different industries. So plumbing, electrical, don't have quite as much seasonality as roofing, landscaping, HVAC. So when you guys are planning out your year and you're planning out 2026, you should have a pretty good idea when those periods are. And that's when you plan to have offers ready. So like right now in Phoenix, it's 60 and rainy. There is no HVAC company that's super busy unless they are proactive reaching out to customers. And so if we sent an email right now about scheduling their AC tune-up when it's 60 degrees out, winter's coming, we know it's not going to be hot enough for our AC, it doesn't make sense. And that's what tone deaf timing is all about, is again, what is in it for your homeowner is what you have to think. Now, I know several of you guys said that, at least the way I worded the question, that you didn't care if customers, you bother them or not. But several of you said that stuff bothers you. And that's okay. It's normal. It's a normal human thing. You are growing a business. This is your baby. You don't want to ruin it and you don't want to turn customers away. But the real truth of the matter is, any company that you do business with, typically you do like hearing from that business. There's actually the brand of shirt I'm wearing. These guys send me text messages at least twice a month. And sometimes I just ignore them or mark them as read. Other times I buy a new shirt because they came out with a new shirt and I didn't know that they had one, and I love the way they fit and I love the messaging and everything else on those shirts. So your customers do want to hear from you. Now, if you think that you're annoying them because you're sending too many offers, or you're just always asking for something and you're not giving enough value in return. For example, this webinar, we got 120 people signed up for this webinar, almost 70 live. I'm going to have a call to action at the end, but I am literally just trying to give you guys value. If you don't work with us, that's okay. If you do want to work with us, that's great too. But I'm just trying to give value. And then we do the same thing with our email list. For any of you guys on our email list, except for when we have sessions like this, we are just trying to put value out in the world. So when we do ask for something, you guys are more than willing to want to jump in and participate. And that's how every single one of these webinars and some of these things that we do, we're able to generate so much interest and so many people to want to attend. And you need to be thinking the same way about your customers. How can I give them value? So that way, when I do ask for something, they're more willing and more receptive to that. So, and this is what your homeowners are thinking. And obviously this changes by industry. And it happens at different times. They might hear a noise when they're in the middle of the night, when their furnace kicks on, and be like, is that normal? But they're not necessarily going to call someone, because then the heat kicks on and it's fine. And they need to know that you're alive and who to call. And these are the things that they want. They want guidance. They want reminders. They want to know that you exist, especially if they've done business with you. That means they have paid you for something. They don't want to feel like you're just always, like any good relationship, there's a give and take. If you're always taking, that relationship is very one-sided. This needs to be a two-sided relationship where we're giving, hopefully more than we're taking. And that law of reciprocity, I think I said that right, law of reciprocity will come in your favor, because those people will be more than willing to refer you. They'll be more than willing to talk about you, post about you on Facebook groups, and grow your business that way as well, and acquire new customers at no cost to you. But they don't want to be sold to. They want to buy. They don't want to be sold to. There is a very distinct difference there. And the contractors who win the most at email and SMS messaging understand this. So we've talked about this a little bit. You want to be useful first, profitable second. Profitability will come with value. The more value you provide, the more you will grow. And honestly, Relentless Digital and even Professional Services was the last company I worked at. This is what I focused on most of my day, was figuring out how we could add value. And it brought customers without us having to even really try that hard, because people loved the fact that we were teaching them, helping them, making them understand why certain things worked a certain way. And through the campaigns we're going to run through today, you guys are going to be able to see how to do this for yourself with your own distinct brand in that campaign. So the reason why that text message campaign, and this is going back almost 3 years now when we first started running these campaigns for clients, why it worked was we sent this message at the end of March in Oklahoma. And this is where it's really important to know your industry, know what your homeowners are thinking about throughout the year. Late April, early May, it gets hot and it gets muggy and it's just gross outside in Oklahoma. And a lot of markets are like this. So if we know that going into the year, we know our homeowners are starting to feel the temperatures rising. They're starting to think about summer. They're starting to think about the heat and how to protect themselves and make sure their system doesn't break down. So when you send it with a value offer that makes sense for them to do it right now with timing, it's easy for them to say yes and raise their hand. So this campaign that we ran, and this is just to give you guys some numbers. I mentioned 3 to 5% typically book. I think about 6% of their list booked. We had about 500 or 5,000 customers we sent this to. They had over 300 people schedule tune-ups. And this was in April. This was typically a slow month for them. And they booked, or from that work, they got about a little over $300,000 in revenue. Some of that system replacements, memberships, repairs, etc. And they booked out their entire team. So then what happens, and what's really great about this strategy, is you take care of your customers before it gets hot or before whatever that looks like for your seasons. Now, when demand comes in, like I know plumbing, typically they call it Brown Friday in the plumbing industry after Thanksgiving because it's so busy. If you take care of all your customers before that, your customers typically are not calling you during those demand seasons. And then you're acquiring other people's customers, because what happens when it gets hot, when it gets cold, or we have these crazy weather snaps, is the companies, the bigger companies are too busy. So you're getting their customers that they can't get to, and you're acquiring new customers. And then if you have a nurture sequence year round, you're keeping those customers and you're acquiring those customers for a very small fee, because they're already looking. They called 5 people. Nobody got back to them, or they couldn't get to them fast enough. And your customers in your database are already taken care of. And that's the beauty of this. And this is why it works so well. So we're going to talk next about the 3 campaign types that I found to be the most successful. And we talked a little bit about the seasonal prep campaign. So for now, like some areas of the country in the South, if you guys do have some sort of a heating season, now would be the time to think about heating season. For plumbers, I would say probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago was a great time to do plumbing inspections before Thanksgiving. Electricians, I haven't quite figured out the seasonality there yet, just because there really doesn't seem to be a lot with peaks and valleys in the search volume and stuff. Roofing typically is spring after snow melts and things like that, or there's a rainy season. Those are the things you want to take into account when you're doing a seasonal prep campaign for inspections. The other, and this is the one that really, the life cycle education campaign, this is the one that will endear your customers to you, is we're making sure that they're taking care of their system. Filter reminders, different things they can check on their own. So for instance, in the spring, when I was at professional services, we used to do a, before you call for service, check these 4 things: disconnect switch on the outer unit, the filter, make sure that airflow was coming through, the breaker box, and then also the switch on the side of the furnace, because our furnaces were in the basement. Make sure those things are all turned on before you call us for service. We actually save people service calls from that. And we run that every spring. And then we did another one before heating season. We would essentially the same exact thing, just reverse, talking about their heating equipment, because we want, first of all, nobody wants to go out for a $79 or $99 thing and flip a switch and be like, oh yeah, now we can do a whole inspection for you and try to find something else that's wrong, when there probably is nothing else that's wrong. So educating your customers on the life cycle of their equipment and how they can get more value out of that are huge. And then the win back campaign. This is the one which right now in between seasons and when things get tight, going back and having a list of people you have not seen in a certain length of time can be really valuable for you, because those people have already reached out to you. They already have done business with you. And now you're just trying to get back in the door so you guys can get some work. Talked about this one a little bit, so I'm not going to go into too much because we do have quite a few more slides to get through here. But typically you want to start running the seasonal prep campaign 6 to 8 weeks before peak season. So whatever that looks like for your trade and your market, it's different for everyone. Pacific Northwest is going to be a lot different than it is in Arizona, just like the humid, muggy weather out in the Southeast is going to be different. So know what that is and plan accordingly. Like, especially right now, we're planning for 2026. Plan that stuff out now. Know what those time periods look like. If you don't know, go back in your field service management software and see how many calls you got for a certain service type by month. You can break it down by month and be like, okay, it got really busy here. So I want to start doing something before this because I know we're going to get a lot of calls come that time of year. This is year round. And what's beautiful about the lifecycle education campaign is it can be, once you write the content, it can be completely automated. So when a new job comes in and a customer gets serviced, that trigger, and I know some of you guys know this from our school group in Trade Automation Pros in our accelerator course, you start with a trigger, which can be a new job is completed. Once that trigger starts, you send them to an email marketing software, whatever that is. We have our own, it's called Bullseye Pro. And you can send that campaign out for the next year because the campaign's already written. It's already got wait 1 month, then send the next email, wait 6 weeks, send the next email, and so on and so forth. And you only have to write the content once. And now if you want to take this further, you can write, let's say somebody gets a new system installed. That content for the next 12 months is probably going to look a lot different than if somebody had their system repaired. For people that had their system repaired, they're more likely to be reactive customers. We want to try to turn them into proactive customers and schedule maintenance, because then if they're used to scheduling maintenance, we can get back in the home more often and they call us instead of us always having to reach out to them. And with new systems, obviously, we just want to nurture them. We want to make sure that they get a full life, the full life value out of their new water heater, their new electrical panel, whatever that looks like for you. So that's what's beautiful about this is it can be automated. And then the win back campaign, these are more in the marketing industry. These are called database reactivations or outbound campaigns. We're actually doing a lot of these for customers right now, and I'll share some of those stories shortly. So this is just an arc to follow as far as how you should set your campaigns up, and kind of gives a little bit of a timeline here. Typically, and this is going to be the nurture campaign. We want to educate people about their system. We want to provide value. Maybe we want to give them a friendly nudge if there's other services we offer. Maybe we want to ask for a referral after that point. We give them some value after the service is over. Now we want to ask for a referral, because if we just go and we ask for, let's say they purchase something from us, we ask for a review, we ask for a referral, we ask if they know anyone else. We keep asking without giving any value. That's how you start bugging customers, and you get a lot more unsubscribes or unfollows, or they D&D you on text messaging software. And that's why it's so important to lead with education and value before we get into more offers or more services that you provide, like indoor air quality or water treatment. All right. So we're going to go ahead and build a campaign. We're going to use some frameworks we have along with some prompts. So if you guys are on a desktop, you may want to take screenshots of this. You can literally take screenshots and throw the screenshots into ChatGPT. But the thing with the screenshots is we're going to use a fictitious contractor in Oklahoma. So make sure that any of the information that we put in those prompts is going to be changed for your business. So this is going to be the framework of who we're trying to reach out to for you guys. Just change whatever that is for your industry. So HVAC customers with systems 3+ years old, last service 10+ months ago. We're going to give it the time. It's going to be right before AC season. If you want to do right before heating season right now, that makes a lot of sense. And then what our offer is. And one of the things about an offer, because I had someone, one of my client success managers asked me about someone that's a plumbing company that wants to send like a free water heater flush or free water heater inspection offer. And I asked my CSM if they knew what the actual price of that service was. And the contractor did not have a price for that service. And the problem with sending that is free sounds good, but free compared to what? Is it normally $19 and I'm only getting a $19 discount? Is it normally $119? You have to put a price in there. And there's things we don't have enough time to go deep into scarcity, urgency, and things like that. These are more psychological triggers for people that are buying. But you want to include something like, why should they book this right now? Well, you should book the $49 preseason tune-up because it's normally $139 or whatever your price is. And we only have so many spots left. The first time I did this type of campaign, I didn't do it with text message. I did it with email. And it was, now that looking back on it, it was a really complicated offer, but we ended up booking out for weeks for heating season tune-ups. I started the offer. Our normal tune-up was like $129. I started at $49, and I said the next 10 people that book at $49, or we'll get it for $49. After that, the price goes up to $59, and then $69, and $79, and so on until we get to our regular rate. It was a lot for me to keep track of because I kept getting these replies, and people like, "Oh, I really want this offer." But we ended up booking out for literally like 6 weeks with maybe 6 guys at the time, and then we got into our cold snap season, and we were just busy all winter long. And things like that can be so valuable, but you have to have some sort of offer that makes them act today. Otherwise, if you just, hey, we're doing our normal $99 tune-up, okay, well, I'll just get it whenever I want it, versus, oh, it's a special, I'm going to save money, let's do it now. All right, so we're going to use AI to write this. This is the first prompt to put in, so feel free to take a screenshot of this. Again, the replay will be sent out tomorrow, so you will get this. So if you don't want to take a screenshot or you're on a mobile device, you're not missing anything. You will get this. So I'm an HVAC contractor in Oklahoma. I need to write an email to customers who haven't serviced their AC in over a year. It's early March, and we get extreme heat starting in late April. Write an educational email, not salesy, about what happens to an AC system when it sits unused through winter and then has to fire up for 100+ degree days without maintenance. Use a story format, conversational tone, 7th grade reading level, make it interesting. Subject line should create curiosity without clickbait. Now, some of these things, as you guys just get, as in general, everyone starts upskilling with ChatGPT, you're going to realize there's very specific things that are put in these prompts. So take some of this, not only to learn and write a campaign, but learn how to prompt better with ChatGPT or Claude. And honestly, a lot of times when I write copy, I use Claude just because I feel like Claude's a little bit better. But you don't want to write, most people in this country can read at about an 8th grade reading level. So you want to make sure that you give it a reading level. You tell it exactly what type of format you want to use. And if you think about the content that we like to, most humans like to watch and to look at, it's content that's story-based. We love stories, and it's just the way our brains work. So putting things in story format will really help. So this is what the output looked like after I put that in. A quick story before Oklahoma's heat hits again. I'm not going to read all this because we'd be here way too long, but you guys are more than welcome to take a screenshot and put that somewhere so you can read it later. But it's a really good email. It's not just asking for the sale, it's providing value. And it's also, last summer, one of our customers did this. This is what the forecast was. This is what happened. And I'm sure you guys probably have stories like this that you can think of right off the top of your head that you could also put in here to make it even more realistic than this is. So after that first email, and you can always add this into the first prompt, but I'm just kind of showing you the steps here that we followed. Make it more personal, add the contractor's name at the end, make the subject line more specific to whatever state or city you're in and their weather. So you can see the subject line changed. A quick Oklahoma weather story before the heat kicks in. Now, in some of this stuff with the emails, because we're looking with ChatGPT and we don't have a customer list, I would make sure that there's merge tags in here too. So we're using the customer first name, maybe the last technician or the last date that we saw them as well. If we do anything like this, just make it more personal. So you guys can see, puts a story together. And then we have one more. Actually, I thought I changed this slide. Oh, no, I did. Make it more personal. Share what we do during a tune-up to provide value to the reader. Now, you may want to add what you do during your tune-ups or inspections. I didn't give it any of that information because it's been a few years since I've been in the HVAC industry, and I'm just trying to come up with that stuff. Just didn't make sense for this. But you can see what happens And ChatGPT and all these large language models are really good at understanding what typically happens during a tune-up. So we're talking about adding value to what we're sending out there. And this subject line literally is what we actually do during an AC tune-up and why it helps you. Again, it's value-based. It's what does the homeowner get? We clean the coils, we check refrigerant levels, we test the electrical parts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you can even see I'm not even really trying to sell with this email. If you want a link, cool, I'll send it over. If not, this is just for your value. And I think these numbers are wrong. That's the first time. I think this is email 4. This is email should be 4 in a preseason AC campaign. The previous emails provided education and value. Now we're making the offer. We're doing the ask. We're offering a $49 comprehensive AC tune-up. And in parentheses, this is where you guys would list what's included. Some of you guys, like in the South, may do more ductwork inspections and things like that. We put urgency in here. We're only booking appointments in April. Price goes back to that price once May starts. Here's the audience. You don't necessarily have to put the demographic here. We just pulled some of this stuff just so you guys can get some additional ideas. Write this email so it feels like the natural next step, not a sudden sales pitch. Make booking the appointment easy. Include a PS that reminds them why this matters. And again, 7th grade reading level, conversational friendly. And you guys can change the tones to whatever your brand voice or tone is. And you can see what that looks like. So here's what's included. Again, we put this stuff in here. And then we say, essentially their call to action on this example was book me. You guys can change it to whatever you want. And then a PS, a tune-up now means fewer surprises later. Most breakdowns happen on the first hot days because the system goes from resting to working full speed. Super important to have that little PS in there. People are like, oh, well, I don't want to be the person that has a breakdown. You know, especially in Arizona, one of the first years that we were here, our AC broke down and literally our house was going up probably 5 to 8 degrees per hour because it was 110 degrees outside. And so from that point forward, even though we should have already known that because both Brittany and I were in the HVAC industry, we started getting tune-ups early because I don't want to have my system break down. If my capacitor is out of spec, I want to replace before it's hot because we work from home. So it's just not a very comfortable situation if we're working from home and sweating our butt off. All right. So it's a lot about email. We're going to get into some text messaging stuff for you guys and show you what not to do and what to do. So this type of text message campaign is very common. I see this all the time. This isn't going to move the needle for you. And so I'm going to show you a really good example next. And I'm going to give you some more examples of actual ones that we have run for clients. So you guys can see the difference here. Look at the difference in the personalization. First of all, this person doesn't say who they are. It doesn't say anything about the last visit. And you guys can even pull the technician's name in here, which has really helped us as well. Last time we saw you is fall 2023. We're booking these. It's normally 139. Want me to grab your spot before the rush? Just text me or hit yes. This one has no really call to action. It says, please call us at your earliest convenience to schedule. You have to tell homeowners and customers what you want them to do. Because if you just leave it up to like, well, call us if you need us, they're not going to call you. But if you give them a reason why to call and tell them exactly how to get in touch with you, humans are kind of, it's again, this is psychological triggers, but humans like being told what to do and how to do it because they don't want to have to think about it. It takes up extra brain power. And it's just, there's so many things that they have to make decisions on. They just want to make it simple for themselves. So now we can have a prompt for ChatGPT to write these text messages for you. And at the end of this, if you guys remember in the beginning, I'm going to give you guys a custom GPT, a link to it, where you can literally put your offer and your information in, and it will give you not only the first message, but the follow-up message to send as well. So put your information in just like this, give it context. You can see the offer is a $49 preseason AC tune-up. Regular is $139. We're booking for April only. So one thing about text messaging, and this is just in case people don't know this, typically a text message allows up to 160 characters. If you decide you want to add emojis to that, that character limit shrinks significantly, and it's just a cost thing. I don't know exactly how many characters it shrinks to. It's like less than 100. So be very cautious about adding emojis in those, especially if you're sending through some sort of platform, because it'll come across as like 3 or 4 messages to somebody versus up to 2. Now, typically I like to do text messages up to 2 messages. So under 320 characters, because sometimes 160 characters just is not enough information for somebody to make a decision. And that's what this looks like. So I put that prompt in. Here's the output. You guys can read this, but hey, it's Mike with ABC. We last checked your system in October. I'm doing a $49 preseason tune-up. It's normally $139 to help folks get ahead of the summer rush. It includes full system check, cleaning, and make sure you don't get hit with surprise breakdowns. I would love to hear from you guys if, first of all, put a 1 in the chat if this is helpful for you so far. We're a little bit like almost 2/3 of the way through the slide. So I want to make sure that this has been helpful for you guys so far to help you write better campaigns. Brandon, thank you. You're Johnny on the spot. Love it. Okay, good. Good. Thank you guys for putting that in the chat. All right. I'm going to give you another. So again, talking bad examples and good examples. And the reason we're doing this is because I'm sure that there's been something you guys have written at one point or another. You're like, I've done that before. This is the same example kind of as we gave before, is we're offering 15% off of all services this month. Well, first of all, when I was at Professional Services, I thought I did a really great job letting everyone know we did duct cleaning and we did generators, which are not typical HVAC services. I also let them know we modify duct work. You'd be shocked at how many times, even though I put it on social media, I put it in emails, I made videos, people still would call and be like, hey, do you guys do duct cleaning? Or they would tell our techs in home, oh, I didn't realize you guys did that. Even though it's on our website, it's on every platform that we own. So if you just say you have 15% off of all services, they don't even know what you all do. They have no idea. They don't. And again, this is that whole analogy of spinning around with a blindfold and trying to hit a bullseye on the dartboard. It's just not going to work. You might get a couple people to say yes, but it's not going to be worth your time, and you're going to blow through your list. So you're not able to, when you actually figure out how to do this properly, you're not going to get a whole lot of yeses, and you're going to have a lot of people that already unsubscribed. So here's a couple segments, and we're going to fix that message that we just sent. So we're going to fix this message with AI, and we're going to segment customers with 10-year-old systems, customers we have not seen in 2+ years, because we're going to send them something different, and then recent customers with new equipment or young equipment. And so we put the email in here, and then literally tell it to rewrite this email for homeowners who have furnaces that are 10 to 15 years old. That's our first segment. And the goal is to plant seeds. So when they think of us, or so that they think of us when our furnace dies, not to get them to buy today. The tone is helpful neighbor, not a salesperson, and include a soft CTA to a furnace replacement cost guide. Now, what's beautiful about this, and this is something the HVAC and plumbing and electrical and roofing industry and every other trades industry doesn't do a great job of, is creating lead magnets to hand out when we're doing emails. We give them information, but we don't hand them guides or buyer's guides. And it is so simple to create these today. The technology is here, so you can create lead magnets. Anytime you have an idea, throw it in there and ask a ChatGPT to create a lead magnet, then give it to a graphic designer, give the content to a graphic designer so they can brand it for you. And now you have a guide that you can hand away to everybody all the time. And you always have just that free touch point to add value to what you do. You guys can see the email, and you can even link the cost guide right here as a PDF. Let you guys have a second to read that. I'm not going to read it because my voice is going to go hoarse here if I keep reading all these. And then you do the same thing. So going back, and this is just to kind of show you guys. So we took an email that was not well written, and then we just do the same thing. So you guys can see the segments here. Take it, rewrite this email for customers we have not seen in 2+ years, and you guys can add the details afterwards. So you guys kind of get hopefully you guys are getting the idea of how to do this properly, so you get really, really, really great outputs and really great content that you can share with your homeowners. So these are the 3 most profitable campaign templates and types that we have used in the last, I think we've been doing messaging or outbound campaigns and stuff for people for like the last 3 years. One we did not talk about, I guess I'll get to it. So this is the win back campaign. these are all things that you guys just keep this webinar handy. We're also going to put it on YouTube after this, but we'll email it to you guys. Keep it handy because then you guys can come back to how to segment the offer and why it works. So that way you guys can put this information into a prompt to create the content. And this is what it looks like when it's done right. You don't necessarily have to do the "did we screw up" subject line, but subject lines that get attention have a much better chance of a response, because if they don't open it, it doesn't matter what you send in the body. So just keep that in mind. But you guys can kind of see what the offer looks like here. This was a back to school special we did for a plumber. Our plumbing package includes everything below, and you can see all the value we added for that. And you're getting that just for $79. So you add the value, then tell them it's just this price. The one thing I would have done differently on this is I would have put the actual price of this offer, which would have been like $199 or something like that, which I didn't do in this example. Campaign number 2 would be an equipment age campaign. Now, this is super important, and this gets back to data management. Now, Service Titan is really good at data segmentation. House Call Pro, sometimes you have to do this with tags. Sarah, I believe, is really good at data segmentation with age of equipment. This goes back to an operational thing. So this has nothing to do with marketing. It is so crucial. If you have not or don't have a good database with tags, or you know the age of equipment or the last time they were serviced, it is so important, because you can't do any of this without a great segmentation. And a lot of times when we're cleaning up people's lists, we're spending a lot of time cleaning those things up, because we're sending campaigns to the wrong people. And that's why they don't get a great response rate. So make sure you're segmenting, make sure you know the age of equipment, make sure your team, it's required to put in the model and serial number for any big equipment you put in, whether it's an electrical panel or even maybe roofing might be a little harder, but at least have the date of the roof that was installed, if you guys know that, so you guys can know how long it is in the life cycle. And so that's what this looks like as far as the offer on that. Again, feel free to take a screenshot of that. And again, this will be sent out to you. And then the last one, this is super important. And actually, this gets into a little bit more social media strategy. And I've shared this on other webinars that I've done. It is really important that, especially if you depend on weather, and I know a lot of these examples are HVAC, and it's because it's what I know best, but this stuff does work for other industries too. Know what that weather looks like and know how it's going to impact your systems. I don't know if some of you guys probably remember this. And maybe it was 2 to 3 years ago now. There was like back-to-back years where Texas and Oklahoma, their homes are not built for cold temperatures. Their plumbing systems and everything are either just slightly below ground or above ground. And things froze, pipes froze, they burst, water everywhere. Like people's houses got destroyed by these storms. And doing things like knowing that weather would potentially come in the next, because typically we know about at least 7 days out that it's going to be either really cold or something's going to happen. Paying attention to that and having content ready for your homeowners and your social media accounts is huge. I had, this was back in like 2017 or 2018. I sent out a post on Facebook and I shared it with a bunch of local Facebook groups. And then it ended up getting shared like 993 times, and Facebook didn't count the reach and the stuff at that point. But my guess is that probably reached 100, 200,000 people, that one post, because I sent it out just a couple days before. I shared it and everyone was really worried because it was going to be a very, very cold, I think they call it a polar vortex or something. Having content like that ready, just have it in draft, have it written down somewhere, saved somewhere, get it sent out before the weather hits. And I'm sure we're going to have some of that stuff come. We've already had some snow really early in like Tennessee and stuff. How does that impact their system, their home, their well-being? Have content like that ready, send it out 4 to 7 days before that weather event. Your customers will absolutely love you for doing this. And then also remind them that if they do have problems during the cold weather event or the hot weather event or the hurricane or whatever is happening, that they can call you, and here's the best way to get in touch with you. And then the other thing you can do would be a follow-up after the weather event. Is, hey, how'd your system handle whatever happened? If you notice anything weird, let us know. Call us. Just a quick check-in with them just to see if they're doing okay. All right, so here is an action plan for you guys for the next 30 days, which would bring us to just before Christmas, and that way you have a plan for 2026. We talked about this already. You got to segment your customer base, or even go deeper than you already are to make sure your customers are segmented. Pick one campaign type of the campaigns we shared today and build it out. Set it up and test it. Make sure it's tested properly. And one thing to keep in mind, make sure, because I know some people for like QuickBooks reasons will put their customer's name, last name, comma, first name, and then they have different CSRs putting customers in differently. That some will put in first name, space, last name. Export that list. Make sure you clean that stuff up. So when you use merge tags like customer first name or things like that, you actually get first name instead of a last name. We've done that. We've had it happen where we did not do a great job of that when we run these campaigns, and it looks funky. Like when you're saying, hey, someone's last name instead of hey, someone's first name, it just looks bad. And if the first thing they read, it looks like it's automated or it's in bulk, they're probably going to be tuned out to it. And then launch to a small segment. Don't launch to the entire thing right away. Launch to maybe 100, maybe 200 customers and see what the response rate was. Are people opening it? Are they engaging with it? If not, you might need to tweak the copy a little bit. If it's a text message, you should get about a 3 to 5% conversion rate, meaning people actually booking appointments on that. And that 3 to 5% means that it's a good campaign. It's a good offer, because you may have to tweak the copy. You may have to tweak the offer. Maybe the offer was not enticing enough, or it's not something they're thinking about right now. Like the example before, if we send an AC tune-up in January, people are not thinking about that. So you're not going to get a great response rate. But if you do it right before the season, 6 to 8 weeks before, or right after when their system worked really hard all year, or there was a weather event, things like that, those tend to work out a lot better. So here's some options or just some ideas to pull your database and create these segments. Recent customers serviced in the last 90 days. Those would be in the educational nurture campaigns. Active customers you've served in the last year. Some of those you may want to reach back out to, maybe months 7 to 12 if you haven't seen them and you want to offer something. Dormant customers, anyone you haven't seen in the last year, and then people that you haven't seen in 2+ years. And those are the ones that we would want to try to go reactivate and get them back on the schedule, because with many of you guys, with what you guys put in the chat, you probably have not reached out to them and they probably are not thinking about you at all. So pick one campaign and build it. Right now, if you're in the HVAC industry, I would do a heating system inspection. If you're in plumbing, I would definitely do like a plumbing safety inspection or a water heater flush, especially nobody wants cold water when it's cold out for their showers. Electrical, typically like a safety inspection, because nobody wants to touch their electrical stuff, but they do want to make sure that their home is safe. Roofing definitely could be something like a leak inspection, stuff like that. And if I'm not hitting your industry and you put it in the chat, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. Just DM me and I'll try to put something together for you for ideas if we didn't touch on your specific industry. And it's important to set up and test. And some of these tools have capabilities built in. Some of them are add-on features and some of them are pricey and you may not want those. If you guys want us to build the connections, we typically build a bridge with Zapier, with Service Titan, Houseco Pro, Sarah, Jobber. There's quite a few of them that we can build with into our system, which is called Bullseye Pro. And we actually run the campaigns for you and set them up and also send them out. The only thing you have to do is reply to those. We can certainly do that as well. But when you set up and test, make sure it looks good. Check it with your phone, because that's where most people are going to read the email and they're going to see the text message. So make sure it looks good. And the question I would really ask yourself, and you may even want to send this to a friend or someone you trust that's going to give you the truth. Would they respond to it, or would you actually respond to this if you were not in your industry and sent this text to yourself? If you ask yourself those questions, and that's actually how Brittany got a text from a HVAC company that added plumbing, and they sent us an offer that was so good. Brittany normally ignores those things, but it was so good that because these people started their plumbing department and had this super special offer, and were testing all these things. And they found a couple of things that could have been corrected. They weren't super big for us, so they ended up getting a little more revenue from us. But they got in the door, and we weren't even customers of theirs. We only had them out one time to inspect some ductwork, and they got us back in the home, got a plumbing inspection. Now they text us with these offers every 3 to 6 months or so. So I'm sure we'll take them up on another one. But make sure it's something you would respond to. That's super key. If it looks like something like I would ignore this, don't send it out. Oops. And don't send to your whole list just yet, unless you really get an offer that you know works. I talked about response rates and stuff like that. Make sure you're tracking these. I would, if you have Service Titan's great with marketing campaigns. Just have like an outbound campaign type setup where you can track revenue. So that way, if anyone books, you can put it right to that campaign. If you don't, I think House Call Pro's got a pipeline feature. I know Bullseye Pro, we have a pipeline feature. Or if not, you might just have to do it manually, but make sure you know what that looks like. I sent to 1,000 people. I got 30 appointments, and it generated however much in revenue. So that way, you know what to expect the next time you do this, and you can see if it's better or worse and start comparing those. And the most important part of all of this is to be consistent. If it doesn't work the first time, that's okay. Don't stop. I'm gonna be kind of corny here, but be relentless with this. Not relentless, annoying, but don't give up just because it didn't work one time. And that really goes for all marketing, but obviously we're talking about text and email today. Just don't give up if it didn't work the first time, because this does work. We have a lot of case studies where this stuff works very well. I had a plumber yesterday reach out to me that we ran a campaign for. It was actually an old business. He had the list still. And I wouldn't recommend doing this, by the way, because it wasn't exactly his customers with the new business. He ended up booking several $10,000+ trenchless sewer jobs from that, and got a couple water heaters. And he's just started this business like within the last 9 months. And he's been able to stay very busy while we're getting all his Google stuff set up for him and his website and everything else. So stuff does work. And before we wrap up, we got just a couple common mistakes, and then I'm going to give you guys those resources, and I'm going to open up the floor for your Q&A. So we talked about this. Mistake number one, giving up too soon. You send one campaign, a couple people book, you say, this doesn't work, I'll just do something else. And that's like planting a seed and then digging it up the next day to see if it's grown yet. You have to plant the seed, and you have to let it grow. You have to give it time, and you have to keep improving the messaging and the copy that you use. Writing like a robot, or just not writing personalized messages in particular. And I showed you guys some of those prompt tips today of making sure that you use certain tones, or you're texting just like you would text a friend or a neighbor. Not segmenting your list. We've talked about this. Super important. If you take one thing away, just make sure your data is clean. Clean data makes everything so much easier when it comes to working with a marketing partner or a marketing platform like a Chirp or Hatch or Bullseye Pro. All pitch, no value. I hope we hit on that point today, but hopefully after this, you guys are not going to make that mistake, because I've hammered it home enough. And then wrong timing or terrible timing. You have to think about what your homeowner or your customer is thinking. Put yourself in their shoes, and your messaging will be better just if you do that one thing. So in recap, we know that the home services industry is getting harder. This year is probably the first year in the entire decade of the 2020s where it's felt tougher. And I mentioned all the reasons why. I don't think there's some people that are some prognosticators that are next year should be better. It's still not going to be where it was in COVID. So we're still going to have to fight and earn the business that we get, but it should start softening up here a little bit in the next year, just based on historical data. But lead costs are a lot higher than they were 3 years ago. The phone isn't ringing. People are getting answers and DIY stuff through ChatGPT and other interfaces. And that when wallets get tight, and I notice this even more so in the plumbing industry than any of the others, because most people don't want to touch. They don't want to go on the roof. They don't want to go in their attic or their basement to touch the electrical box that heats and cools your house. And they definitely don't want to go touch the electrical panel. But when it comes to plumbing, DIY, as soon as the wallets get tight, more people are willing to DIY. And some of you guys have probably felt that this year with your plumbing departments. And the thing is, we can't control any of this. We can't control tariffs. We can't control prices. We can't control mortgage interest rates. But what we can control is what we do with the existing customers that we have today. And like I said before, that Oklahoma contractor made $300,000 from one campaign. And I mentioned the HVAC company that we just did recently. They had 83 tune-ups from 2,500 customers after the season was over. And the plumber that reached out to his old list that he had and has booked probably $60,000, $70,000 in jobs as a small company. This isn't complicated, but it does require you to do three things. Think about your customer's journey, be consistent, and providing value first. You have the database, you have the expertise, and you have the relationships to make this work. And now you have the framework and the prompts so you can write great copy. And I would love to hear from you guys after you guys get these recordings, you get all this stuff. If you send out a campaign successful, let me know. Because one of the things, if any of you guys have known me for any length of time, I want to see you win. I know how hard it is in the HVAC or the home services industry to grow and how much work it takes and the great people that you guys have in the trades. Let me know that it works. I'd love to hear your stories. I'm not going to use them for anything. I just want to know that it's working for you and you're growing. And with that said, feel free to take, if you're on a computer and you want to grab these, again, these will be emailed out. So don't feel like you have to grab them now or they're lost forever. The one on the left is the custom GPT that we use to help with text message offers. And the one on the right is one we just created. As we were thinking about this webinar, my team and I were going to come up with questions so you could put your brand voice in and create all sorts of copy and content and video scripts and everything else. So this will prompt you with questions to better understand and create your brand voice. Now, if you have a brand guidelines from a Kick Charge or Kongify or something like that, you're more than welcome to use that stuff as well. But this is going to help you talk your brand voice so that way your content matches that brand voice regularly. And then if any of you guys would like to talk marketing for 2026, or if you'd like to learn more about Bullseye Pro and what that looks like, feel free to book a strategy call on the link that's on your screen right here. And if you're on your mobile phone, it's booking.relentless-digital.com/webinar. So we can track and segment our audience. That's why we put the /webinar in there. And our team will know, and we'll make sure we get you guys booked quickly. And with that, that is all I have today. So I'm going to bring my screen back over here. And hopefully we got some questions that we can answer. And if we don't, feel free to put those in. I will stay on as long as you guys need. I got about another 30 minutes until I have another appointment. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Nadine. All right. And Nadine's going to put the questions in here just so you guys know, and I'll pull them up on the screen. So Brandon, do you guys work with ServiceTitan Marketing Pro or offer a competitive option? So we have a competitive option. So a lot of what we do, Brandon, is text message marketing. ServiceTitan is pretty strict on what type of campaigns they can send out. Most of theirs are like recurring automated text message campaigns. We do a lot of outbound text campaigns. Now, there are some states where we have certain regulations, like Texas has gotten some certain things that we need to pay attention to. California is a little weird with text messaging and has to be a customer you've serviced within a certain length of time. But we do a lot of outbounding that way. So, and ServiceTitan's more automated messaging and mostly email from my experience. So we do have a competitive product, but we don't have a ServiceTitan Marketing Pro certified expert or anything like that that can work with that system. Kyle asked, what was the offer that Brittany got that got them in the home? That is good. I don't have it in front of me. but I can send it, and Nadine will put that in the follow-up email because I do have it saved somewhere. She sent it to me. She's like, look at this offer. It was so great. So I saved it just in case I ever needed it for the future, but I will get that over to you guys in the email. Good question. What else we got for questions? Okay, that's all the questions we have. Awesome. Well, guys, really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I really enjoyed using this. Oh, of course, we got questions as soon as I'm trying to wrap up. But I really enjoyed being able to share some of this stuff with you guys. I see it, Nadine. I feel like if Nadine was sitting next to me, she'd be like poking me in the side, like, so don't wait. All right, Kristen asks, we use Podium for texting. We typically will text our maintenance members through Podium. It's time to book your tune-up. We use first name, we identify ourselves, and we always have opt-out. We've been running into the issue of the cell carrier blocking our text phone number. So I don't know a lot about Podium's system. So what we've done, we have a provider that we can typically get 10DLC approved, A2P 10DLC, which is a phone carrier regulation thing that started at least a year ago now. I don't know the exact time frame. It's made it very painful to get text messaging approved, but you should, once you're 10DLC approved, you shouldn't have issues there. One of the reasons we actually changed our carrier system is approval for A2P 10DLC through Twilio, which most likely Podium uses. I don't know that for a fact though, so don't go tell the guys at Podium I said that they're using Twilio because I don't know. Twilio is a pain to deal with because they're so big. So we went with a third party, got connected with them. We get approvals in 48 hours now, guaranteed, and have very few issues. We have some issues sometimes with messages, but very few. And we don't get blocked by cell phone carriers because they have their own upstream carriers that we work with. So that's really more of a technical question to ask Podium because I don't know why it's blocking those numbers. So I apologize. I can't help you more there, Kristen, but that's definitely probably more of a Podium technical question than something I can help with. Nadine, I'm just going to, you're no problem, Kristen. Varden asks, what software app would you suggest to use for mass texting? So I like ours, Bullseye Pro. It is built on the high level framework. If you guys are the high level backend software. So if you guys are familiar with high level, we're not trying to hide that we white labeled that, but all of our messaging, our campaigns are all custom and stuff that we built, including our Zapier integrations and some of our custom integrations that we have. I like it because it's super easy to use and there's a mobile app so you can answer on your phone and we can set up all kinds of alerts and pipelines and all kinds of crazy stuff to alert you guys when a new message comes in. The only thing that we do for clients or the only requirement for you would be to answer the incoming messages. We set up the outbound, we set up the campaign. I actually personally look at the campaigns before they go out to make sure it looks like something that's good before I approve it. And that way you guys get a marketing team behind you as well. But there are others out there, like even Constant Contact has a mass texting solution. Chirp has a great solution. Hatch has a great solution. So there's definitely other ones out there that can do mass outbound texting. But again, you're going to blow through your list if you don't have a good campaign or a good offer. Kyle asks, we use Service Titan, but no longer use Marketing Pro. Do you know how to create our audiences now for that granular marketing approach without having Marketing Pro? Yes. So everything you can do in Marketing Pro or in Chirp, or all that stuff can be done by connecting Service Titan to a platform like Zapier. So Zapier just acts as a bridge. So we can take data like, let's say the trigger is a customer booked, but the job got canceled. So you guys canceled it on your dispatch board, but you want to run a campaign in a day or two to reach back out to that customer to see if they got their problem solved, because you may be able to reclaim that opportunity. All those things are triggers inside of Zapier. And we work with that a lot. We have a whole team, a whole department that can create those things for you. So there's a lot of options there, and we can segment those customers based on equipment type and stuff like that, or tags in your system. Good share, Carrie. There's also another thing I want to share with you guys. There's programs out there called like phone validator apps where you can run your list through. And we had to do this like 3 years ago because we had this duct cleaning and dryer vent cleaning an HVAC company. They sent us a list to start doing outbound campaigns to, and we were getting a ton of unsubscribes, like 20 to 30%, which kept suspending the account and kept causing issues. So what we did is we ran it through like a phone validator service, and we realized a bunch of people on that list, the numbers were landlines, or they were not customers. And some of them were text or mobile providers we couldn't get text messages to. So we cleaned up the list that way too. And we got rid of all the landlines and all the numbers that we couldn't send messages to, or numbers that were no longer in service. So we had a clean list. So there are a couple other things like that. And Carrie, that's a good share too about the compliance to make sure that they can work with the cell phone carriers. Kyle, if you want to learn more about Zapier and how to build automations, we have a school group called Automation Foundations. I can get you a link to that if you want. It's $97 a month. You can have your team in there as well. And we teach, Tersh and I teach you guys how to build automations and use AI. And we show you how to connect Service Titan and all that kind of stuff. So we can definitely do that as well, and super affordable. So that way you guys can learn and grow with us. All right. Nadine says that's it. If you guys have any more questions, DM me. I'm happy to answer them. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll get that stuff, the replays, out to you guys next week. Until next time, we'll see you.